Welcome to another episode on Disqualified Dads. First and foremost, I just want to say, not being here for a few weeks, not done any streams for a few weeks, simply because of just being beaten, procrastination, beaten down. Just could not get myself going ultimately. So, that's why I've been away. But we're going to try and get back on this, try and continue to spread the message, Unfortunately, when you're going through your own family court journey, trying to fight to see your kids, it is difficult. It can wear you down. It can break you down sometimes. And with my own personal case, unfortunately, I've hit a dead end ultimately. I mean, my dead end that I hit was ages ago, but the reality of how mismanaged it is by the family court, the sheer incompetency, the lack of response and willingness to even engage from the family court due to a lack of funding, lack of staffing, and just a lack of general competence on all levels. Because of that, my problem is the problem that I'm facing. And if my kids are watching, I just maybe want them to know one day. The problem that I'm facing right now is a lot of fathers that I speak to, they've been through their court journey, they've been through their battles, they've done their best, and they did not get access. They did not get the result they wanted, but they had closure. They can walk away knowing they gave it their all, they went through the whole system, and they tried their best. The problem I have is I'm not even getting my day in court. I'm not even getting acknowledged. And forget me, forget the ex, but the children have been completely let down by the system. So when you're stuck in limbo, not even getting your day, you sort of wonder, what can I do? What else could I possibly do to try and force the action, to try and get some sort of resolution? Everyone on the opposite side, unfortunately, I don't know whatever the situation is, it's not about me, it's not about the ex, it's not about the mom, it's not about the extended family. There's no one on the other side thinking of the children, unfortunately. And when you're dealing with a complete dead end on all fronts, it can weigh you down. I get PTSD, I get flashbacks. I even see my kids sometimes, but it's hard to sort of get motivated. But look, here we are today. We're going to touch on quite a few things. Shaun Bhuchanan from EcoSart's coming on. We're going to try and cover a few subjects from the last time he was on. And false allegations on the rise again. A lot of issues that he wants to discuss. So we're going to chop it up. We're going to go back and forth and chop it up. But before I go, kids, I just want to say, kids, if you're watching, I love you. I've tried my best. I miss you. I will continue as long and as hard as I can. I'm trying to pull myself together so I can just keep going on this journey. Ultimately, it's taken 2.5 years ultimately on this journey, but I'm still at it. I'm still here. If there's anyone from my ex's family, from her circles, anyone from that side who's sensible, who's thinking about the kids, reach out to me. Let's sit down. Let's work something out. I'm trying to look for work. If I can get some work, I can ultimately contribute a little bit. If I can get myself together, get a job, we can sit down, come to an arrangement, give me some reasonable access. We can make this work. Ultimately, it's not about me or you. It's about the children. But anyway, that's my little rant out the way. That's my message out the way. And without further ado, let me get Shaun on and let's get stuck into this. Let's talk about these false allegations. Shaun, welcome back. Long time.
Good evening. Good evening. It hasn't been that long, has it? What, 6 weeks,
Listen,
7 weeks?
it feels like, look, it's been a long time since I've been on live anyway, than any sort of social media. So 6 weeks is a long time, man. When you've been doing it solid for 2.5 years, 6 weeks is a long time. But look, I'm back. I'm going to keep pushing it. But first and foremost, Shaun, how you been? What's going on?
Let's see. I've had to move, as you know. I moved to a bigger place so I can have my children can have different rooms now instead of sharing.
That's what it's all about, bro. That's what it's all about. We do these things. We go through stress and inconvenience for our children, ultimately. Do you know what I mean?
The APPG, they look like they're going to reactivate the fatherhood one. It was up in the air when the toys were in charge, but it looks like they're going to continue with it when they're saying there wasn't enough, uptake, enough membership.
Okay.
Locally in Merton, I've been asked to help out drafting a violence against men and boys policy, which I'm pleased about. I've been trying to strive for that for about 5 years now, and they're finally seeing a need for it. It looks like the African Health Organization and the BAME Voice in my local council. They want to do something around that now. Father to Father, they just got funding from the mayor's office, and I think over 4 years they're going to get 300K. So they'll be doing the thing about, you know, helping young boys and men navigate youth violence and crime and not in work, in employment, education, training. So with that though, I know some of it is context deficit, so they're going to be training them to be, you know, more simpering when it comes to violence against women and girls. Yeah, so I said, yeah, obviously you're going to train. You're going to train. Sorry, you're going to train men to be more amenable, but I said at the same time, in the name of harmony and justice, I said there needs to be training for women and girls as well in terms about respect and treatment of men as well. I said if you constantly have someone backed up, hiding and ducking for cover and said, "Oh, we're so sorry for historical wrongs," so what will happen? You breed resentment and more misogyny. So I said there has to be a balance where everyone takes fault for their misdeeds and everyone is punished according to the law. So if you start having a two-tier system, you're gonna create more hatred.
Yeah, I think
misogynist.
Yeah, the thing is, Shaun, look, you said two tiers. It's a two-tier society ultimately. Hence, that's why we have a two-tier system. But look, we'll get into that in a minute. But before we move on to that, did you watch your boxing last night, man? It was. I watched the highlights myself. Did you catch any of it?
Yeah, I saw the highlights as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was watching the True Geordie. You know, they have a watch-along program. I was watching that, listening to the commentary, and then I watched the highlights. I mean, what'd you make of it? Like, you're a boxing man. You've done a bit of boxing. You're into boxing,
Joshua made club fighter mistakes. Guard too low, not moving.
Mistakes.
When he's in exchanges, he's not taking his head off the center line. So when you're throwing, and he's throwing at the same time, you're gonna get hit even if you're dominating the exchanges. He never fought the right distance.
Yeah, it just to me came across like a complete mismatch.
He's fighting in mid-distance where something wrong with him. Yeah. No, there's something wrong with him. His decision making and choice of distance and his general defense was all over the place. That's why it looked like a demolition job. Those are things that easily ironed out if he has a legitimate corner telling him what he actually done wrong technically. If they're just gonna say, "Oh, well, he's hungrier and he's younger," then he'll never win again.
Yeah, look, something clearly went wrong, man. But look, Triple B, I've got to rate him, man. He's such a humble, sort of simple sort of guy. Do you know what I mean? No bravado. I like him. And listen, shout out to both, man. Look, shout out to
he's a heavy puncher. Give him that heavy puncher.
Respect to both of them, but look, it was exciting. There was a lot of action. It was exciting. Yeah, so yeah, did enjoy that. But look, see what someone said. What they said on True Geordie yesterday. I was watching that when I said the pain game, True Geordie. Yeah, what one of the guys on there said on the panel, which actually was quite interesting. He went, the reason we're shocked at this is like if you look at the fighters of the 70s and 80s, they all fought each other. Hence, there was always upsets and losses, wins and losses because they all fought each other. And this guy goes, in his whole lifetime, the top fighters in boxing have never fought the top fighters. That's why we've never seen these upsets. But this is a normal day in boxing. You win some, you lose some. It's going to happen. So maybe it's just the fact that the best have never gone against the best in boxing for a long time due to all the bullshit politics. Do you see what I mean?
Now, to be fair, Fury's been a bit like that. But Joshua is the last 6 years, he's only fought top 10 fighters. So then no one can tell Joshua he's ducking. I know they want to get you.
No, but again, I get you. But the top 10 fighters he's fought, no one's heard of, bro. I'm talking about household names, like no one's heard of. I mean, my point is, why Joshua fought Fury or Wilder in the last 10 years?
Yeah, that's to be fair.
These fights have only happened in the last year because of Riyadh season, yeah. So let's be real. The top 10 fighters he's fought, I've never heard of, bro. I'm just a sort of novice.
No, yeah, you're a casual fan, innit? But to be fair, what happened Fury? It's because of Fury why that hasn't happened.
No, but they had different promoters. It's not just them two, was it? It was the whole promoters.
Yeah,
all the different channels, all the politics and bullshit. So let's say it's not even the fights; it's all the people around the game.
Yeah,
Turkey Al-Sheikh had to come shake it up, bro.
But they advised them. But if they just said, "I want to fight this person," the promoter has to make it happen. So if you're telling me they're such a stoolie that they're gonna do exactly what the promoter says, that's no good. If I say I want to do this, he's the one that's fighting. So If they turn around and say, listen, I want to fight, just make it happen, they will do that. But when you start saying, oh, I want a 70-30 split in the purse, I want 60-40, I'm the A side, you're the B side, and they don't agree, of course that's going to throw suspending the negotiations.
Look, whatever the reason is, these fights have only happened in the last year and a bit purely because of that Saudi money, that oil money.
Of course, yeah.
Whatever the reason was, the point is it's not happened. Who was to blame? Who went to blame? Fighters weren't fighting other fighters. The best weren't fighting the best. Simple. They were doing that in MMA for a long time. Dana White, credit to him. He was making the fights. The best had to go up against the best. Boxing, there's a lot of ducking, diving.
There's a lot of ducking.
The belt system, I don't even understand the different belt system. There's weight category and, negotiating to fight at a certain way. So one guy's drained down, one guy comes in, all this bullshit. I don't even fully understand it. Just getting in a fight, again, we just want to see some punches, we want to see some blood, we want to see people getting taken up. We just want to see people go to the trenches, bro. Simple, like they did yesterday. So look, credit to AJ, credit to Dubois, all the fighters. They went to the trenches, they delivered. It was an action-packed night. Good stuff.
It was good stuff. It was.
But moving on from boxing a little bit now, any other news on the horizon? I mean, old P-Diddy, things ain't looking too good for P-Diddy. What's going on there?
No, to be fair, from when I grew up, there was always rumblings about it when I was a teenager in the 90s and early noughties. Anyone that's been following the scene knows that there's always been allegations and thing about Diddy. There's one fella that I knew from Miami called Shaun. And he used to tell me that, listen, they have these weird bunga bunga parties where they got all sundry goes on. And I used to just think, it's rumor. And he just saying that on social media and that. But he was telling me from young, from when I was like 17, 18, from when he done that I'm Missing You tune, that one with had Sting as the remix of the song.
Yeah, I was listening to that.
I'll be missing, So when Notorious B.I.G. died, there was rumors again. But because of his way in the system and who he had on his side in terms of the special handshake crew, they suppressed it for him. So I'm telling you, he's upset someone or he's got above his station. So now they're throwing him to the wolves like they did with Epstein.
So you saying that? Hold on, let me get it.
He is.
People in the know. So those in the know, those had some connection with that scene, knew about this. This was ongoing. Bloody hell, man.
Obviously, now I know it's not just rumor and speculation and gossip. It was actually fact. See?
So among certain circles, this was common knowledge.
Definitely common knowledge. No, there's no thing about it. It's definitely common knowledge.
Many years.
Imagine I don't even live in America and I had people telling me that I used to go Miami with Shaun, he does these things. And some of it is, gay. Some of it he said he's, mistreating women. I guess that's why J.Lo never went back to him, because it was back then toxic for a brand. So that doesn't surprise me. And they reckon there's some other people involved in this rap scene as well. That other big artists that they said if they pressure him, he will roll over on them and inform on them.
I think anyone at the top, to be at the top or that level, because look, he wasn't just successful; he was on that ultra high level, there, elite. He was in an elite place, the untouchable. And to get there, you got to have big people behind you, big connections, right?
Yeah, of course he did. Remember, Arista is Jewish owned. Arista, his parent company that control Bad Boys. Remember, Bad Boys is like a subsidiary. Arista is Jewish owned, powerful people.
I even think young Mayweather's, well, I say young, old Mayweather Jr., he's in on that elite scene because of the level of financial success he has. I think he's connected up there, the way he's back in certain organizations. I was listening to, there was actually a martial artist I listened to, Umar Fight Camp. He's from America, right? Yeah, Saif Khan from Umar Fight Camp. He turned around and just said he's a sellout. It hurt a little bit because I was a big Mayweather fan. I appreciate the skill. And
I'm a big Mayweather fan as well for his skill.
Yeah, but I don't care about none of that no more. Look, to show what the side that he has chosen. To me, I hate to say, I think he's enough sellout Uncle Tom straight up. Look, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I can understand that because obviously he's been supporting Israel, hasn't he?
Yeah, but why? Why would he? It just doesn't add up to me. Why? Look, even if he supported that side, to openly push that agenda and support it to someone of his influence and power, I sort of think why. It doesn't make sense. It just does not add up, bro. I don't know if he's a religious man or not, but why would your interest like it? It doesn't make sense. So look, as far as I'm concerned, and and other people, other influencers that I follow, they've said he's a sellout. Other people from the black community that I follow have said he's a sellout. So disappointing, man. I did rate his work ethic and skill, but none of that
definitely.
matters
That's
anymore.
skill-wise, he's top notch.
Do you know what I mean? But anyway, moving on, going back to old P-Diddy now, I'm actually surprised that this is not being pushed out as another male abuser, misogynist, domestic. I'm surprised they're not. Yes, he's an abuser, trafficker, whatever he is. He's just someone who committed a crime and is guilty. I'm surprised they're not pushing that, using that as a tool or using that as ammo to push that agenda against, women, violence against women and girls, and male abuser again, another man abusing women. I'm surprised that's not being pushed out harder.
Yeah, to be fair, it's America. That's why it's in America. If it was over here, I think they would have done that. And even though you say that, all the kind of female-centric podcasts are ripping into him and making mockery of him and saying again he's based on misogyny and his disrespect and hatred of women, and as just seen as them as chattel that are supposed to do what he tells them because he's a big superstar.
Yeah, but he used
to be fair, you always get that in power circles.
No, that's fine, but what I'm trying to say to you can't really apply that because some of his victims were men.
He shot
a bloke. One of the male victims, he just used to shoot him straight. There was no domestic violence. He shot a guy. He got one of his guys to shoot a guy. So my point is, how can you say that or push that when his male victims had it harder, man? They were getting shot and all sorts.
You know what they would say? They would say, well, basically, he said most of the victims were women. And because he had children and most of his relationships were heterosexual, they will say, look, he's a misogynist. They never remember, when you have convenient myopia, they're never going to pick out the things that expose their ideology or undermines what they're saying. It's like, for instance, look, they found out that lady that killed her 2 children the other day, last week, and tried to stab her husband in the stomach in the petrol station. They wasn't saying about, female violence against men and boys. Of course they're going to promote that. Women's Aid Shelter and all the other feminist charities, they turn around and they won't even talk about that because it undermines their message and their mission to make sure that there's a disparity in the justice system. And that.
But was that in the UK? Yeah, sorry, you got cut off there for a second.
Oh, yeah, as I said, when it comes to those kind of issues and that, when there's misdeeds from the female community, from women, it's not going to be frowned with men because they can always play the victim card and turn around and say, oh, listen, where's the mental health issues? Was she abused in the past? It's easier to frame men as a predator because of our strength and obviously our more proneness to aggression and confrontation. So we just going to have to learn to accept that. The only way we can rebalance things is if we say, look, there's a lot of disparity, a lot of injustice in terms of homelessness, suicide, tax contributions, physical work contributions, dangerous work contributions, and the fact that most of us actually protect women. And we need to focus more on that rather than the minority that do the crimes and the wickedness and the misdeeds that they like to try to blow up and say, look, this is how all men are like walking predators. And we need to be fearful of all of them. It's a feminist narrative and gynocentric narrative.
Yeah, but the thing is, Shaun, I think they have succeeded in pushing this narrative. I think we're in this place now where that narrative is accepted and laws are based around that in society, in family court. People I meet and speak to, there's a couple of ladies that I know. I'll speak to them, and when they opened up, they truly believe that this world is against women. And they went to the extreme of saying that the likes of Jimmy Savile and all of those only got away with what they did because women aren't being believed. The whole women aren't being believed. And when they came out with that, where when you start associating Jimmy Savile with this whole situation as, it's because women reported it and they weren't being believed, hence women are second-class citizens, more women. Obviously, look, I know the stats say that more women are dying from domestic violence and whatnot. And like I said, all perpetrators of domestic violence should be dealt with. But they truly believe this whole misogyny, the society is misogynistic. I think society has never been more equal, ultimately, if not more one-sided in favor of women. But they genuinely believe this, and when they're using Jimmy Savile as a point of argument to try and push their argument, sort of almost just gave up. I just gave up in the conversation where, like, why are you expecting me to sort of contribute to that conversation? Like, he was a guy that committed a crime. Ultimately, it's got nothing to do with where we are now as a society with these gender-based issues.
It's true. It's true. But Jimmy Savile, to be fair, was a monster. He's a monstrosity.
No, that's
Oh, yeah.
irrelevant.
I
That's
can
besides the
understand why people
point.
feel like that.
My point is, if women that believe this whole issue around misogyny and how misogynistic the society is currently and the laws they believe, they even turn around and said women apparently get longer prison sentences than men. I've never heard this. This is probably the most bizarre thing that I've heard, and I'm sure we can both agree that it is the other way around. It's not true. It's actually the other way around. Women get short prison sentences for the same crime that
Yeah, of
men
course.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Well,
fact.
they
But you know what?
came out
They
with
would
this
say
argument.
they say they deserve that because they're of the kind, they're more gentler gender,
No, but
and
they came
they're
out
more
with this
humanist.
argument. Like I said, the sisters that I know, they came out with this argument that apparently, because they watch a documentary, women get longer and harder sentences than men. And when you believe that, I just felt like if you're that delusional, I just felt to believe something like this. I just thought there's no point me continuing the conversation because if you believe something of that, it's literally I could just make anything up. Then you must start making stuff up when you start believing stuff like this. When the reality and the facts, if you study the facts, the statistics, and you actually look at the record, we know it is the other way around. And then add to that the whole, Jimmy Savile only got away with it because the society was misogynistic, because women are not being believed, because women are second-class citizens. This is my point. It's not about Jimmy Savile. That's what I'm trying to say to you. When you're saying that,
When they said that to you, you should have said Ghislaine Maxwell. You see what I mean? Mara Hindley. Yeah, that's what you should have said. You should have dropped those names in and see what they had to say. And I bet you they didn't even know who they are.
That's what I'm saying. And Lucy, I mean, when they talk about sentencing, I was going to say Lucy Levy. Like, let's talk about women. But my point is, look, when it was no point carrying on the conversation because they were convinced and they genuinely believe this to be the case. And I just said, look, if that was the case, then the society does favor men. Why is it that I have not seen or spoken to my children well over 2.5 years? How is this possible? How is it that 90% of the resident parent are mothers? If this is the case, why is it not even close to 50%, 50-50? Like, do you see what I'm trying to say? But the reality that I've seen, the reality that you've seen, the reality that we're living, and the countless thousands of fathers who are going through pain every day because they cannot affect anything to change their circumstances with their children. And I've got someone telling me how society is misogynistic, women aren't being believed. And then they even turn around the whole classic where if a woman claims rape, out of 10, 20 women, one might get believed and investigated. I went, listen, I work with a lot of men going for family court who have been accused of sexual abuse and allegations of that nature. I know what they've gone through. I know how the police step in. I know what the process is. So when they say this to me, I'm like, you haven't got a clue. But they actually believe this. I was more shocked at the fact that two, reasonably educated, intellectual women of a mature age would be a lot more aware of where society is. But they said this is their reality, and that's how. I mean, I was more shocked
You
at that.
say all that. This education thing is good for subjects and when you want to find work. Yeah.
Yeah,
But when it comes to general knowledge, you know how the UK,
society.
the general knowledge of the UK is worse than a 7-year-old. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
for instance, the other day I had one of them, kind of reform, supporters telling me, look at the state of this country. And I asked him, sing the Grand Duke of York. He couldn't sing it. Then I told him, whose statue is this at the Houses of Parliament? He didn't know who it is. I said, that's Oliver Cromwell. So I said, look at the state of this country. You don't know who Oliver Cromwell is, and you're saying you're a real Englishman. Yeah, you get all this all the time. Simpletons and retards talking this, make Britain great again. Britain's lost and broken. and they don't even know jack. And,
Yeah,
and
well,
the government control the minority that don't know the ignorant, who's so bogged down with living their life, going to work, earning a crust, looking after children. They can't even bother to read a political manifesto. So, or look into policies and people's track records. They can't be bothered with that because they say, oh, that's too much time, too much effort. So if it's someone that I'm friendly with or I trust tells me something, it must be gospel. And that's how we're ruled.
most people get the information from their mate down the pub or their mate's opinion. But look,
There you go.
like I said, I thought, I never thought that the people who had this conversation would thought like that or believe that, but they genuinely believe they are, as females, under attack from misogyny, the society's double standards, the laws are against women. They believe everything is anti and against. They legitimately believe that. So I mean, I switched off from the conversation after a while because I realized it's absolutely pointless because they will come up with anything to justify their position. I was trying to stick to facts and statistics because I was trying to say, no, it's not about me against you. It's not about men against women. I'm just telling you the reality of what's happening. Hence, the conversation had to be left there. But I'm saying now that it is real. This agenda is real. It's already out there in society. As you mentioned before, two-tier rules. Yeah, there ain't two-tier rules. It's a two-tier society. But where do we head from here? I mean, it only seems to be getting worse. Fathers can't be bothered to pull their finger out and pull together. Most of these fathers groups, I've got to be honest, I'm slightly, what's the word I'm looking for?
The gynocentric.
No, I'm just disheartened at the lack of actions. Even the ones that aren't gynocentric, the actual individuals to get together to do something, the passion.
Yeah, because they've lost hope. They think it's hopeless. They think, what's the point?
I don't think so. I just think they're
We're
lazy,
never
bro.
going to get our way, so we just got to bow and scrape.
I'll be completely honest. I think fathers are their own worst enemy. I think they're completely lazy, bro. People don't take a day off. People don't want to inconvenience themselves. People don't want to put their hand in their pocket. People are busy moaning about other groups. Oh, they're doing this and that. Leader of that group's this and just bitching and moaning. I've given up with fathers.
Yeah, because you've got too much people with Messiah complexes.
I'm talking about the individual father in the group. I'm not even talking about leaders. I'm talking about the everyday average father who's going through court. He's only interested in his case. They don't really. I don't think they give a shit about the overall.
Yeah, they don't care about other people. Of course not.
And that's what then makes me think like, it's disheartening, man. It's sort of really disheartening to think, like, what's the point?
Well, that's why people like me and you align, isn't it? There's people like Sally and Kingsley and Jay and Marcus. We're there to provide that solidarity. I don't expect everyone to be like that. I expect the inner circle to be serious and strategic and let's do this together and make moves. But the general, person in the street, I don't expect that because
they're not. But their father's going through the system. Surely they have a responsibility. Individual responsibility. They've got it.
It's individual. Remember, a lot of people I've noticed since from the campaigning, they're only really concerned with their own situation. So while they're, kind of trauma bonding with us over certain issues, as soon as things are all right for them and get better, they're thinking, oh, let's leave that in the past. That's negative. I'm better now, and it was nice knowing you and so forth, and then move on. But to be fair, that's not that's people in general.
Okay, look, I can understand that to a certain degree. I don't even, what's the word I'm looking for? Due to the fact that, like you said, trauma bond, no one wants to visit trauma or stay in that place. If you've got your business sorted and you want to, the word is move on with your life, to live your life, I can almost understand it. And even now, I think to myself, look, I'll continue on my path. I'll continue to create exposure best I can through through the means and channels that I've got and what I've built, and will continue on that. But ultimately, I'm just thinking, I'll do what I can. That's me. And I need to focus on my thing. I need to focus on me because I can sort of see why. Because ultimately, if the masses who are suffering can't be bothered to pull their finger out, I'll do what I can. But I ain't myself. Should I be focusing? Should I just be focusing on my kids and seeing what I can do, or maybe I should focus on making more kids myself and focusing on my life? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I can understand. Of course, yeah, I don't blame them. I have no ill will to anyone that's like that, because at the end of the day, your happiness is your responsibility, and you got to live your life. Because obviously, if you don't live your life and you're not stable and happy within yourself, helping others is just another barrier.
Bro, it's about
Yeah.
like that's what I'm saying. It's helping out. If they can't be bothered to help themselves, show up,
Mm.
help the future generations, help the kids, help their own kids one day who may face this, help
Mm-hmm.
to bring that positive change.
Mm-hmm.
It is disheartening, but anyway.
No, to be fair though, it's a good way to thin the herd because there's a lot of people that are seen like, you know, the weekend activists and the part-timers are like, oh yeah, they're really upset. And then you just give them one or two tasks to do and they say, you know what, I can't help you. They said, why not? I said, no, with me and you, we don't share the same values. We don't have the same work ethic. We don't have the same, you know, mindset. So I said, it's better you find somebody else to deal with because that's the best way to not spend too much time when you people are only selfish and looking out for their own individual cases. The best thing to do, bro, is malign them and put them to one side instead of investing a lot of time and effort in them. And if wait a minute, I thought we was about the cause and we're on mission together. Yeah, it's just what we just got to do is be more ruthless in marginalizing and sidelining those people. They're not really only concerned with themselves and their own issues and not with others.
Maybe that's one way. Maybe that's one way. What's this about you were saying about there was a march this week? Tell me more about this march because I completely missed the whole thing. I've been out of the scene for a few weeks. I'm slightly out of touch with everything. So yeah, tell me about this march that took place. I don't think many people know about this.
It's an organization called the Falsely Accused Network, and
Oh, Falsely Accused Network.
Yeah, you follow them.
Of course, I know him. Yeah, now I
Yeah,
just twig. Of course, I know him. Flipping it, man. You should have messaged me. You didn't message
No,
me.
I
WhatsApp
think
me.
I sent you the thing on Instagram.
No, but you know the guy that runs that network. I had him on for a live stream once. What's his name?
Was it? Oh, you did?
Yeah, I've had him
I
on
didn't
for a live
realize that.
stream. He runs it. He should. If he'd have WhatsApped me, I would have seen it, and I'd be like, right, okay, what's going on?
Yeah, but he should have contacted you directly if you know him personally. It's
he
like
probably,
me.
no, he probably did on Instagram or something. In it, he copies me on Instagram or TikTok. I haven't been on TikTok in weeks. Instagram, I sometimes miss messages and stuff like that. If he'd have WhatsApped me, I'd be like, all right, you got March going
Well,
on.
I saw it. I never went myself in there.
But what was it? Tell me what it was about. Just fill me in.
I think it's just well, from what I could read from the social media posts, it's just to go down to Parliament and say and protest the misinformation they're peddling in the mainstream media, saying that false allegations only make up 3% of reporting of sexual assault and rape. I said, he said, we all know that is false. We all know that's rubbish. And remember the way the feminist organizations and charities have tried to portray that like you've got to be frightened to go out at night, and that most of us are lectures and attacking them. And 1 in 4 women has been assaulted or pestered about relations over a 5-10 year period. I said, no, that's not the case at all. I said that is not true. I said false allegations don't make up 3%. I said think about it critically. Yeah, I said how many incidents get reported to police that never gets out of the police station because it's processed, there's no further actions. I said yes, some of them can say, well, you know what, they haven't done their job properly, they have not investigated properly because there's a load of male police officers. I said, yeah, that could be right. But I said also there's a lot of false allegations when people have been vindictive at either end of relationships, family breakdown. They want to discredit someone that they can't actually beat up physically. So they said, obviously, the female way of doing it is either ruin your reputation, false allegations, slander, and belittling in their circle to try and change people's minds about an individual. I said that's the weapons that women usually use: coercive control. Because the average person, the average man, they're not going to beat up, are they, or attack? So that is the weapons that you usually use by women when they want to discredit someone or get their own way.
Well,
now, what they do is instead of using the no further actions and sifting through them and say, listen, which ones are mostly like the false allegations, which ones are genuine that have slipped through our net because we've been negligent in investigating. So I said the true figures they will never really know. But I said at that moment, as much as you say, oh, it's not really reported and it's bigger than what it really is, said so is false allegations bigger than what it really is and what is really reported. Yeah. So I said you must realize that too. You can't be just one for one. What's good for the goose is not good for the gander. I said we don't know any of it, of what's really happened because we're not there and we don't see. We don't do the research. We're not involved with the police or the Ministry of Justice or the National Audit Office. All we can do is trust the figures that they send out. So I said, if you can say that it's underreported and there's much more assault going on from men with women. So then you must realize also, by the same token, there's a lot more false allegations that is mentioned, that there's what have been quoted by, members of state, public figures who insist on, like, look at Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister now. He's a charlatan that come on here, and when he's, the Attorney General, the Prosecution's Office, saying that they made it up 3%. I said, that tells me he's on an agenda and a narrative. He's not actually doing the work to find out what's going on. And that's obviously to keep his female MPs on side so he could get into the corridors of power. And that's what a lot of these politicians do.
Do you know what the percentage is
in the moment?
You saying it's not 3%. Do you know what the percentage is really close to? If it's not 3%, the false allegation, what is that percentage?
Sally sent me updated, because the figures I gave you before, they were like from 4 years ago, like 2020, just during lockdown. Sally sent me last week the figures for 23, 24. And from there, they said it could be anything between 30, and 60%.
Flip it.
And they said that 30% is a conservative, 60% is the top end.
So let's just say
there you
40,
go. There you 40, go. Yeah. And obviously they said
50.
They said the only way they're going to get government to actually look into it and provide us with accredited research, they said if we show them how much it costs the system, because what you showed me from the documents you sent, there is 250,000 it costs the state every false allegation. Once you get CAFCAS, child services, and the police involved, then it goes to court. That's just for one. I said, no, that can't be right. Then she showed me the breakdown. I'll send you the Word document if you like. I'd add it to the chat. I couldn't believe it. I said, I remember when I read Will Collins' book, The Empathy Gap, the male disadvantage.
Yeah.
He was saying it was between 17 and 25%. But this one, he said it's even bigger. I said, that makes sense, because the Domestic Abuse Act of 2021 has weaponized false allegations. And the LASPO Act of 2012, when they said, if you make an allegation of domestic abuse, you can get free legal aid instead of having to pay for your solicitors. So what do you think is going to happen? Women that want a divorce now, want to break their families, they will say, I don't have the money to pay solicitors. So all you have to do is make an allegation of domestic abuse and you'll get free representation. What do you think is going to happen?
They're coerced into making allegations.
Exactly. Go on.
Because again, they're coerced literally into it, because that's the only option they're left with. Say, right, well, I do want to do this, but I can't afford to do this. But if you say this, you're going to get that money. You're going to get that honey. You get in a position of power, and you take out your own man, sort of thing.
Yeah, of course. Even you look at the figures from 2012 when they introduced the LASPO Act, the toy, till now, domestic abuse allegations exploded. So I said it can't be by convenience that you've introduced that to make sure that people get legal aid, because they cut back on legal aid in Germany, saying, "No, that's too much, cost of money, country too much money, taxpayers too much money." So we'll only do that now if there's been an allegation of domestic abuse, where before it used to be beneath a certain amount of money, you get legal aid. But now they're doing this special condition if there's been the accusation of domestic abuse. So it can't be by coincidence that as soon as they introduce the LASPO Act, domestic abuse allegations gone overboard and blown up. So they know this is the thing. These politicians and state civil servants, they know this. But at the moment, this is the fashionable thing. And this is what they want to do, introduce the VAWG, violence against women and girls. That's the thing that they're doing now, in order to try and rebalance the sins of our past, where women were at a disadvantage in society. I said, but I would like to do that around ethnicity. I should be getting reparations then, isn't it? As my great-great-grandparents were former slaves, I should be getting reparations. And so if you want to go down that route, anyone can say, listen, I want this because this is what happened to my forebears and this is what happened in the past. Where do we draw a line in the sand? I said, and without men, feminism would never have got off the ground. You would never have the vote. You wouldn't be able to get a bank account on your own. The gynocentric men have allowed you these privileges. And then the more we're giving you, the more you're demanding.
Well, I think society, as we can see, is imploding. It'll come to a point where it is imploding. Eventually, it will have to come to a stop where men are completely beaten out of society. Society won't function to a certain degree. But look, did you hear about recently that guy from the repair shop? He got done for coercive control. That TV presenter. There's a presenter. That afternoon program, the repair shop, comes on at 3:00.
No, I don't know that.
Yeah, it's all over the news. What are you talking about? He's a celebrity.
I
He's been
saw
done
the only thing I see is the Jermaine Jenner's thing when
yeah,
he's being caught messaging women and unsoliciting them under the quiet. That's the thing that I've
no,
seen. I haven't seen this one, no. And the
yeah,
Hugh
this
Edwards
guy's
one as well. The Hugh Edwards one, the BBC presenter.
yeah.
That's
No,
someone
forget
I'm
that.
aware of.
No, forget that. Right, we don't want to touch on that. That's a completely different subject. Forget him. Yeah, Hugh Edwards. Yeah, that's a different issue. Forget him. Right. Yeah. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about, the repair shop. There's a guy on there. There's a black guy on there. He's actually got a. He's not a knighthood. What's the other one that you get from the royal family? They give you a. Is it knighthood?
MBE.
Yeah, he's got
Boxing
apparently he's
league.
got one of them. He might have to give that back. He's been done for coercive control in the courts. It was all over news. Check it out, man. I thought, what does that mean?
Yeah. That was wrong.
I'm hoping more details of the case will come out because I want to see what they would class as coercive. Because the problem with coercive control is, and the way I've seen it play out when it's used in a family, like I said, it could literally mean anything to a certain degree, right? Yeah, it could be a conversation where you disagree. So I want to see what the details are. But he's been done for coercive control. This week came out another celebrity, and that was also added. That is also another nail in the coffin to secure more of this agenda to say, look, female victims, domestic abuse. Add to that, with the early release of these prisoners, there was more talks about all the prisoners that could have been released. So they're only concerned about more about the ones that may have caused domestic abuse, that leaving domestic abuse victims vulnerable and all this sort of stuff. And I thought, how could they, when they release prisoners, this early release of prisoners, how do they somehow link it to domestic abuse again? This is what I'm trying to say. It's on all fronts, man. There's this battle. We're getting shots from all fronts.
Never applied fairly. It's never applied fairly. If that was so, then there'd be a lot more women locked up, isn't it? If there was a real clampdown on coercive control. You've got people
I think more women are guilty of
OnlyFans is a massive thing for coercive control. You see what I mean? Look at my feet and give me, £500. You see what I mean? Yeah, that's go to. Or the mail order brides from Thailand when a fella that is, in his 60s trying to get a woman in their mid-20s to marry him, and he's bringing her over it. That's coercive control. Taking away, the family will and fortune, the new foreign wife. And then he doesn't want to give his children any money anymore. He wants to give it to other people. That's coercive control. Well, why don't people look at those kind of things? You see what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Divorce settlements, coercive control. When he said, I want to sign a prenup. No, why? That's not romantic. I don't think I should get that. Anyway, that's coercive control. Leaving your partner under false pretenses in order to get, legal aid and benefits and that's coercive control. That's the reality of it. And then, so if they're gonna, until they start applying it fairly, we'll never be right.
Well, I recently heard of it. I spoke to a father recently, who's just going through some trouble now, and check this. His missus, right, at the time or recently, punched him. I think she physically hit him, and then as soon as she did, you know what she turned and said? You made me do this. Why did you make me do this to you? Bro, this is what I'm talking about. Imagine if a guy attacked his wife and then said this, but this is what she genuinely believes. You made me do this. Why did you make me hit you? Another case I was dealing with recently. Check this out, right? Yeah, again, geezer's from a Muslim family. Now check this. So he's shelling out between his monthly expenses. My man's shelling out between $5,000 and $6,000 a month, to keep a couple of bills, Out of that, I think he said around 1,500 quid to $2,000, is for childcare. I said, but why do you need childcare? Well, the missus decided that she wants to go back to work, so he has to pay for the childcare because he's the man in the Muslim family.
Provider.
Well, it's the women in the Muslim community that for some reason women have latched onto this, that as per our religion, a man is the provider, and that they all cotton onto that. So what they bought, and this is my point, it's become a bit of a scam now. Check this.
Yeah, of course it's a scam. Of course it is.
No, but check this. Check what happened in there. I'll tell you what happened. So I thought, as I pressed him for details as to what the situation. So he's paying for his childcare, so she goes to work. I said, all right, she's bringing money to the family pot, presume more than what you're paying for childcare. No, that money's hers. It's disappeared. You ain't got a clue where it is. So hold on, your marriage is being used to fleece money out for yourself. I just don't get it. He's paying childcare 1,500 quid to 2 grand a month, so she can go out and earn a full-time job, earn a full-time wage that the family sees none of it. That money's disappeared, mate, into her own account. Boom, boom, boom. He has no idea. So I'm saying marriage has become so transactional. Unfortunately, in the Muslim community, I can speak for this community because I keep hearing this case over and over again, that they are using the marriage to siphon money out the family home. So you pay for childcare because you're a man, because Islamically you should provide, and this constant pushing that. Most men, like you said, just sort of nod along, go along with it for a quiet life. He's killing himself working day and night. This guy's got health problems. And check this. This is fleecing the money out of the family home because it's her money, it's disappeared. He ain't got a clue where it is. And I said, how can a relationship be like that? But this is what it's become. You talk about coercive control. This is how it is. This is the reality on the ground.
To be fair, that's not a recent thing. That's been going on for decades.
Really?
Yeah, it's been going on for decades. Of course, from once they introduced the Welfare Act and got rid of the marriage person's allowance, of course, this has been going on for 50 years.
Right,
my mom used to do my
tell me more, bro. I didn't know about it. I think this is a recent thing.
Yeah, no.
Only Muslim women are on this.
Infinite thing for just your community. No, that's all over. Remember, I told you when I was younger, I say 15 years ago. I remember one of my white friends when we pulling cable in the underground, and he said, I said, I'm thinking about marrying my current wife. He said, Shaun, I wouldn't recommend that, mate. Worst mistake of your life. Don't do it. You're mixing up legalese and government in your relationship. And then what happens if things go wrong? She'll probably get half of what you earned if she ain't worked for it. And then she gets the kids and gets to live in your home and you have to move out. And obviously that is whole true. That's what usually happens in terms of society.
Yeah, I know, bro.
But what they like to do is sweep it over and go on like it's a minimal thing that hardly ever happens. The men usually have the money, control the finance, and the woman has to leave home and run off with the kids. And they're homeless. So that is not the case, because if that was so, why is most of the homeless figures men then? Why is it 8% of homeless people are men? 100%. So that's rubbish. 100%. So you're trying to make it. It's not hard to. When I tell people, listen, when they hear these quid pro quotes and these headline stats and these mainstream media nonsense, all you do, look into it a bit. It won't take more than a half an hour to find out that this is a charade. It's a sham built in a shambles. So if that was so, there'd be more women that are homeless. We have laws that protect women with children to make sure that they don't have to live on the streets. So that's rubbish. You said, how can you believe such nonsense? If you had critical thinking and then a modicum of research, you'll find out this is a charade. It's a lie.
100%. I think it's going to take a long time before even though every homeless person you see is a man, 80% of 95% of homeless are men. Yeah, and I think at some point, hopefully, this information gets out to wider society. But listen, just a quick one. Yeah, you said you worked on the underground back then. You must have been pulling in some money, or pulling cables on the underground back then.
Yeah, them days was it the
rolling, bro.
Yeah, not where we're rolling, but remember, I wasn't skilled like you. Those times I was studying journalism at university, and my younger brother said, "Look, that stupid market research you keep doing and nightclub security, he said, come and do some skilled work and come and learn something on the underground." So when they came down, they said, "Oh, listen, just carry these tools, pick up the arm and cabling, and just carry it to us, pull it in for us, and then we'll terminate it." And I thought, my goodness, as electricians, mate, they were talking about £700 a week in my hands. So I never seen them kind of money from work. Yeah, never. So I said, "Oh, this is a thing." And there was tons of people doing it there those times. Tons of people, tons of charlatans down there pulling cable and saying, they were tradespeople.
They were good days, man. They were good days back then on the underground. They were good times, man. Good money. Good money. Any other news? What's this? That message you sent me about? What's his name? Fired.
Yeah,
is that legit?
Headline. I was shocked. Was
that headline legit?
Yeah. Well, they're saying there's a lot of accusations saying that he was, coercing women and telling them, basically, I'm the man in charge. I'm in charge of Harrod. So you need to make yourself, amenable to me. And if I take a liking to you, just take what I give you. Yeah, to be fair, I find it odd that he's been dead. Well, how long has he been dead now? Like a year? And it's only now saying, why would you pull it up now? Why weren't none of these reports made before? And they said it's because he's in a position of power. And they're frightened to.
He's been dead longer than that, hasn't he? How long has he been dead now? I'm sure it's been longer than that.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how long he's been there. But they were saying, well, when did he give up Fulham Football Club when he was the CEO there? 2012? but I think he lived to a few years after that.
Yeah,
So
2024, bro. When
yeah,
2024 can't be last year, yeah.
yeah.
Was it last year? Was it? It's just
Well, I think
2024.
that's what I read. So it's the tabloids, isn't it? So I'd have to look and find out when he actually died. But at the end of the day, he was in charge of Harrods for years,
Look,
and
he
he
was
was
a
a full
man, isn't
CEO
he?
for years. So surely, with being such a public profile figure, there must have been some rumblings about that.
Yeah, but the argument is, I mean, he was in a position of power, so maybe it was difficult. I don't know. Until the
Yeah, of course.
evidence comes out.
Until they got proof, until they
Uh,
show thing,
like I
they have
said,
to see.
I'm not biased in that. Well, you know, so it ain't until I see evidence. Like I said, I'm not saying he's innocent because he's a man. I'm just saying
Yeah, no,
present the
you can't,
evidence.
because there's been so much corruption over the years. You can't just say that. And obviously, when you're in a position of power, you're insulated. You can think, you can check that out.
Yeah, well,
Died 30th of August last year, 2023.
all right, so it was quite recent,
So
then,
it
yeah.
is right. So I just checked that. 30th of August,
All right.
2023. So the tabloids were right. It wasn't misinformation.
All right, no, fair enough. Well, like I said, let the evidence come out. Let's see what the crack is. But ultimately, my battle in the family courts. Well, I say my battle. I'm not even on the battlefield. They won't even invite me on the battlefield. So let me see where that heads. But ultimately, if it continues at this rate of no response, I might just. I'm close to just saying it's no point bothering like with the courts itself. It's
So
just
you
it's a disaster.
see, with your case, was child services ever involved?
Not really, no. Very briefly, but not enough. Not they weren't involved to the point where it's anything significant. Like it's not.
And Kafkas?
Kafkas, I've had one Kafkas phone call, and then after that, they were meant to be engaged, but again, they can't engage until the court instructs them, and the court is nowhere to be seen. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Family
probably the
court,
waiting list. The waiting
yeah,
list.
yeah, yeah, and the East
There's a
London
massive
court
backlog.
currently, well, East London Family Court is currently officially. Now, this ain't me just saying. This is officially the worst in the country. Officially, it's the slowest rate of response. There are 1 year between hearings. I got a mate of mine. He's had about 4 hearings just this year in his court up north. Yeah, but East London Family Court, it's a year between hearings currently. Like that's how bad it is. It's in a bad way. So if it's a year between hearings, even if it's a straightforward case that requires 3 or 4 hearings, that's 4 years. That damage is done, man. Child under 10, damage is done. Straight.
You
Child under
say
10.
that, but I've seen, like I told you before in the previous episode, I've seen kids that's never ever met their father, and they've gone to look for them, and when
Yeah, but
they've never
Sean,
been got in a relationship or even seen a picture of them.
but what age? But Sean, what age? Like we're talking, if the childhood's gone, they're adults and they find you, yeah, great, you can build a relationship at that time. But you're two strangers just getting to know each other. You ain't got the
Yeah,
relationship.
but
It's not.
the love tarries, bro. The love tarries. If they've got inclination to come and look for you after all that time, that shows you they're really concerned about their identity and wanting to find
Listen,
out.
that is one. I think that is just one or two stories, success stories that you don't get me wrong. I met a father the other day at the mosque. Yeah. He ain't seen his sons for a long time, and by some miracle, he was there with one of his sons. Yeah, and now he's talking to all of his other sons. Yeah, they're ranging from I think 16 to 20 plus. So
There you
it
go.
was good. It was heartwarming to see that. It was heartwarming to. I spoke to his son. It was actually quite heartwarming to see that it is possible. You got to hang in there. You got to keep the hope and keep battling. But I just think there's an element of that is very few and far in between. The reality,
Yeah, of course,
the
it's far and
reality
few
of
between.
life
It's the
is, I
minority.
think,
That's a
is
minority. It's
much
not the
more.
majority. It's a minority. Yeah, you're right.
The reality of life, I think, is a much more brutal. And once childhood is gone, the relationship is it's like me and you. We're just two guys meeting up. That's what it is. Ain't the same,
No,
is
to
it?
be fair, character plays a big part in it. Like I said, character plays a big part in it, and inquisitiveness.
Yeah, well, let's
So
see
it
what
does.
happens. Let's see how this pans out. But look, I'll keep chipping away and see where this heads. Is there any other news on the family court front, circle
Oh,
front?
to be fair, um,
Any other work you've been
I got an
doing?
offer.
Any
I
other
got an offer the other
research?
day from the small claims court over child services.
I've said again. You had a what? You got
I
your
got an offer of small claims that they've ordered Croydon local authority to pay up 10K,
what
even though I ain't
regarding
received the
your
money yet.
social services case?
They've told you, yeah. That's for me personally. So that's some form of positive news, even though it's poultry, it's peewee money. And how
Mm.
can we spend? That's not even that's not even a. when I'm doing the maintenance work, that's not even a quarter of the salary. So, but yeah, something. So
Well,
we'll
something,
see.
isn't it? Is
Yeah. But obviously they ain't paid me yet, so it looked like I'm gonna have to go down enforcement. The thing was on Friday, the deadline. They were supposed to sort me out with that money, and it ain't happened yet. So I'm gonna have to go down the enforcement route. But yeah, see, look, the calls turn around, and I suppose I said actually that is actually functioning properly, isn't it? They've actually turned around and told him, listen, you're not engaging. He's had a tribunal, he submitted evidence, and you lot can't refute it. So you'd have to pay up this money.
Mm.
So
you just kept. How long your case been going? How long has that been going on?
from 2017, fam.
So 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, it's been 8 years.
Yeah, I've been thinking, even though, certain times I don't bother with it and that, but little and often.
Just chipping away. You just kept chipping away,
Yeah,
yeah?
of
And
course.
it's
And
now
I
paid
take
off.
the emotions out of it. So listen, I'm going to just follow the due process, see where it takes me.
That's good, man. That's actually good stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Remember that thing I told you about a few years ago, Jonathan Kublin, when they tried to accuse him, that social worker Susie Smith, saying that with the police, saying that he basically touched up his daughter. Look what happened. They paid him 80 grand. So I mean, even though it's a joke money, it was joke money, and he had the miss thing. But he actually forgave his daughter and said, you know what, I know they were coercing you. And he reconnected with her, but he's disappeared off the scene now. He was big on it. He was campaigning for time. But I noticed as soon as he got that 80K, he went disappearing. He don't hear from him again.
Well,
I've tried to look for him and reach out to him through
going through allegations like that, yeah, you're never gonna. Once you've been labelled with allegations like, listen, you ain't gonna be the same again. And I can always understand when you've been labelled with stuff like that, bro. You just want to disappear. I get it, man. You know what I mean? But I tell you what, I was gonna ask you. I forgot. Oh, sorry, man. I completely forgot. Gone. Completely gone. Yeah, no. What it is, because with my case myself, I'm going to be pursuing the East London Court on some level or other, because technically this is a breach of human rights. You have a right to family life. They've completely destroyed this. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to be pursuing some legal actions on my own now, because ultimately, they've completely let my children down.
Yeah, it's a mockery. You're not in danger. You've not got no criminal convictions. You've got no molestation things against you. So how can that even be possible? A lot of it is apathy, and they're thinking, oh, no, it's a cattle farm, one in, one out, and then we've got a backlog because of the lockdown. So where the courts haven't been sitting for years, so you just have to put up with it. And in the meantime, you're being estranged from your own family. It's ridiculous.
It's non-mal occupation order. All of these tools are used. These are weapons of the family court system, which you secure legal aid, you claim your abuse, secure legal aid, you get these things, and it's very, like I said, bro. Let's not forget 2 years. I lived outside the house for 2 years, man. I'm living on the road for 2 years, so it's very easily done, and there are hundreds, thousands of fathers up and down the country going through this because the system is there in place. It's way too easy. I was going to say, I just remember social services. There's a guy I've talked to on Instagram. His the social worker on his case, his child access case, she's now currently being sacked from social services. She had to do a runner because she colluded with his missus. Mrs. gave her money to lie on their reports and that to give mum the favour. So it's another female social worker. Mum was paying her out. They became pals. Mum paid her out. She doctored the reports. Boom, and he lost access. Yeah, there's a lot of this corruption out there, man. The whole system is corrupt.
Yeah, of course it is.
Funny
enough, I had a clash with someone this week. This week? Yeah, earlier this week. Some kind of troll saying about, what you lot have done in terms of your family. Why is it that you're having difficulty in seeing it? What should you be doing? The system at the local authority, social services is inherently good. I said, would you work for them? Yes, I do. I said, so how would you know that? Have you done the research? You're talking at the prism. You don't want to criticize the master that's paying you. Yeah. I said, at the end of the day, that is not the case. I said, I can give you loads of things. I said, look, Logan Morangi, Star Hobson, Arthur Labajano Hughes, Baby P, Lucy Letby. I said, I can give you loads of names if you want to say it's not just a very rare occurrence that it's not worth mentioning. He said, it happens all the time, daily, in fact. And they're like, that is in particular Croydon local authority. That doesn't mean there's other ones. I said, of course it is. So Social Work England regulates all the local authorities around the land, right? All the town councils. So then if you look at the amount of complaints, even though it's obviously some of them can't all be genuine, yeah. But if you look at the amount of complaints and you look into the detail, so I'm sure you'll find that there's at least a few thousand every year that have to go through these kind of atrocities and these miscarriages of justice. And no one cares about it because the way they see, oh, well, you're not the resident parent. Go out there and rebuild your life. It's your fault. You should have chosen better with your partner. That's the attitude. And we don't want to spend too much taxpayers' money on finding out what's really going on because it doesn't produce anything. It doesn't bring nothing into the coffers. That's what it is. The capitalist, the benefits of a capitalist system.
Unfortunately. But look, we fight on. We keep exposing. Right, Shaun, we're almost out of time. Any final words? Anything you want to address? Anything you want to? Any information you need to put out there before we wrap up?
Well, as I said before, hopefully with my local council, they've asked me to produce a violence against men and boys strategy that we can use to implement in the area that I live in. And it'd be good if we could get some support from dads in general and men that are dissatisfied with how the system is currently governing, because this is like a first step towards having some form of parity and equity in a system where we're looked after. We're not just seen as cattle and slaves to work for a few pounds.
Okay, what do you need for that? Give me some tangible steps. So in order to support you, what is needed? What do fathers need to do? Like, is it a signature, a story, a document?
No, remember, I've got the petition. Remember, to be fair, did you put up the petition last time? You see that petition that you signed a few years ago?
Yeah. I mean,
pushing out, because the more signatures I get for that, then I can turn around and say, these are my stakeholders that are behind me, that I represent. And this is why we need to have change. At the moment, I'm stuck. I haven't managed to move from 7,400.
But that's what I'm saying, Shaun. The petitions, unfortunately, getting men to sign petitions seems to be an uphill battle. Yeah, so we'll try and keep pushing that. Look, we'll keep chipping away with that. But beyond the petition, if you're knocking on those doors already, and
International Men's Day is coming up. International Men's Day every year.
Yes, talk a bit about that. Yeah, okay. I've got your email. I've skimmed through it, but again, excuse my ignorance. Tell me a bit about that, how it works, how it's connected to government, and what we can do and do.
The International Men's Day it's all over the world, but in the UK, we've got an all parliamentary group for men and boys and fathers. So they connect that with their strategy of helping men through, ill health, prostate cancer, suicide, homelessness. These are like the main tenets. So they're trying to create more awareness around that and get more government support financially to support services specifically for men in these areas. So if we get more men speaking up and saying, look, I've been through this, I'm suffering, I don't get the help that, like I say, a single mother would get or women would get, because I'm seen as I must be the stiff upper lip person that soldiers on, and we're men and we mustn't grumble and complain. They said without our voice, then we always become a minority, and they're less likely to say, well, there's not that many men that are struggling with this, and they don't really care about what happens to them, so we can just get away with what we've been doing. So the more we join together and support thing, November the 20th, it's every year. So there's yeah, of course.
Is there a get together? Is there like a group meeting?
Yeah, there's not
together,
if you can put this into the future episodes, International Men's Day, November 20th. If you put that in, there's a link where it tells you what to do and how you can help and support. They've got volunteering, they've got people where they want you to add other small community groups that work it locally to come out on the day and showcase that the work they're doing. So this is, we're doing work around these issues to help men in general. Then it's a positive thing, and then we'll get more money for our public services. We'll get more attention from government, and potentially more funding to sort out things like prostate cancer, reduce homelessness. Obviously, it's never going to eradicate, but reduce homelessness amongst men, reduce suicide, which is obviously a big thing at the moment. I've noticed in terms of social media, more parental leave for men when they have children, and the mother gets the majority of the time off from work. They're trying to increase it so men can spend at least 6 weeks off with their newborn instead of just the current 2. And it's a cultural change as well, trying to get workplaces to accept that. If you get men more involved in child rearing, that takes the pressure off women that work and have to do domestic work at home. Because at the moment, women complain about, oh, I've got to do all this domestic work, look after the child, and then go to work because the man in these days don't earn enough to look after all of us. So they're stressed
Well,
out and under pressure. So all the reasonable women say, listen, we want them to be able to at least split the parental leave off, so I can have time back at work and get my faculties back together and have adult company. And he stays at home sometimes to look after the children, or he comes home and supports me while I'm recuperating from pregnancy. Anyone reasonable will say that's a good thing because we're working in unison together. Yeah. Instead of this, oh, she said she's no good, he's no good, he's a misogynist, she's a misandrist. Oh, I don't like her, I don't like him. He's doing this, she's doing that. Instead, we come together as a group, interpersonal relationship. Say, listen, the reasonable men and women, we can do this if we band together, and it helps and benefits not just families but society in general.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right, Shaun, we're out of time. Let's wrap it up here. We've been going for over now. Let's wrap it up. It's been a few weeks for me, so I'm just blowing the rust off. I'm just burning off the rust, getting the cobwebs off, and hopefully can get back into the swing of streaming over these next few weeks.
Okay.
Shaun, thank you for coming on.
Always a pleasure.
We will in a few weeks' time, every 4 to 6 weeks, like I said, I'll try and bring you on because, like I said, you're up to speed with all of these subjects. You do a lot of research. You're doing a lot of work behind the scenes. So look, every 6 weeks at least, I'll bring you on and we just update and get the information out there, see where the movement is for fathers, men and boys, the APDG, where we are with the political front. And you can keep updating the followers and subscribers. You're my guy out there fighting the political fight. You're the guy fighting the bigger fight. I'm just trying to get the message out there. But you're the muscle behind the movement, really, ultimately. So, look, I appreciate everything you do. I know we don't connect often as we should, but listen, I'll tell you now, I appreciate your work. I appreciate all the effort and work you do. I know how much you put in. So, look, thank you for coming on. We'll chop it up again soon. Guys, thank you for watching. If you are having trouble with the family court and you are going through the system, reach out to me. Email me, disqualified.dads@gmail.com. As you know, I've got Mr. Ryan on board with me for any legal advice, family court advice, and if you want him to represent you, if you need any help or support, and if you just want to have a chat about your case or your situation, just reach out to me. I talk to fathers all day. Drop me a message, we'll have a chat. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, follow, and share.
Peace out. Take it easy.
Peace out.